guys, I'm GamerMD83 and this is my Dragon Age 2 Legacy downloadable content review. This downloadable content was pretty hard, in my opinion. At least on hard, it was pretty hard. Which was cool. It was a challenge and I liked that. So that's why I kept on dying and dying, so that's why it took me a little bit longer to beat, because it was pretty hard. Especially the boss. I actually liked this downloadable content. It had a little bit of everything. It had a pretty good story. It had the emotional side to what makes Dragon Age so great. They always know exactly how to like yank your heart out, and you're like, ugh! So that was another thing that I really love about Dragon Age, and I'm glad they did it to the downloadable content. And it was a challenge. So I thought it was a great downloadable content. It wasn't that short either. I thought it was going to be a lot shorter. Maybe it's just because I died so many times and I had to play over and over and over and over, and it seemed so long, but it was pretty decent when it comes to the length. It wasn't too short, nor too long, so I thought it was pretty good. Legacy is about mostly about Hawke's father. His involvement with a certain creature that you don't know what it is in the beginning. When you see the picture, the main picture of Legacy, and when you start hearing things about this creature, it reminds you if you've played Awakening, the downloadable content, the huge downloadable content for Origins, Dragon Age Origins. It's very similar, the creatures. So you're like, oh, wait a minute, could it be the Architect? It's not exactly the Architect, but he's something similar to the Architect. This downloadable content takes place before Dragon Age 2 ends. You could play it at any time when you have a house. When you're playing Dragon Age 2, so pretty much in the beginning you could already play it. Once you're in Kirkwall and you're living in Gamlen's house, you could already start playing it, or you could play it once you have your mansion, or when you've played Dragon Age 2. But I believe this takes place before Dragon Age 2 ends, because the Seeker is still interrogating Varric. So it's gotta take place somewhere in the middle. The story takes place before the end of Dragon Age 2, but your characters and everything that happened to your characters stay the same from what happened to Dragon Age 2 at the end. So if, let's say, you lost Anders left, even though Legacy takes place before Dragon Age 2 ends, Anders isn't going to be there anymore. So your party stays the way. If you beat Dragon Age 2, your party stays that way, no matter where the story takes place. Which is kind of good, because since it involves your family, you can have Bethany with you. Bethany, in my storyline, she was sent to the Circle, so she was able to accompany me. I am interested. I'm kind of curious of how it would play if she was a Grey Warden. How she would come into it. Yeah, I didn't have Anders, so my party was from the beginning. I didn't change it to the end, and I kind of wish I had, but I don't know why I didn't. It was me. I was my Sword and Shield warrior, my original character. He's a male. It was him. It was Meryl, whom I romanced, Bethany, and Varric. So that was my party. So it starts off that all of a sudden you guys walk into this area. It looks like you're out in the desert, kind of. And it seems like the Carta, the dwarf Carta, has been attacking Hawke and his family, basically. All you know is some guy named Corypheus is leading the Carta to try to kill you. So that's how it starts off. You go, once you start, you fight a bunch of dwarves and Brontos. I think that's what they're called, those little rhinoceros thingies. And it's pretty hard. These battles are pretty tough because the dwarves have a lot of rogues. They just disappear and then they're like, ugh. So there's different sections to this downloadable content. There's the top, the surface, which was mostly the dwarves, the Carta, and then you go deeper down into like the deep roads already. You go into what's a prison, you find out, and this Corypheus is being held in this prison for some reason. And you start going into deeper and deeper and deeper into the prison. You start finding out that your father is very tied to what happened in this prison and to Corypheus. So once you get deeper, you start fighting Darkspawn. You start fighting new Darkspawn. This Darkspawn, he's a Herlock Alpha. He's got like this big red thing up on his head. I think he was probably my favorite out of the new enemies. It was that guy, and then there was this big dude that, oh my god, I felt like turning off the game every time I saw him coming. This big dude with this huge shield, and he was like this big, it said he was a Genlock, but he was pretty big for a Genlock. He was very bulky, and he had this huge shield, and he would just pummel you. Like, if Meryl, Bethany, and Varric were in his way, they would just die. Like, he would just pummel them, like, and then my all of a sudden the side of on the screen with my characters, it'd just be dead, 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 and I'd be like, what? And I'd be the last one standing, and I was like, oh. That's the problem when you have damage dealers that you can't really focus on their defense. So yeah, I had to be switching from character to character to try to have them move out of his way, always, and it was very, very, on hard, it was very, tedious when you had to fight these guys. But, that was one of the new enemies, and I believe there was also different Genlocks, kind of like that dude with the shield, but without the shield, so they were just these bulky Darkspawns. There was the sniper. There was I think he was a Herlock sniper, maybe. It was something sniper, but he wasn't very different from the other Herlocks, but I think he was a new one too. So there was probably like 4 new enemies. But my favorite was the Alpha, the Herlock Alpha. But yeah, after the thing about these battles were that it wasn't just a few enemies. It was like a lot of freaking enemies. I mean, it was packs of people attacking you. And the more you went in there, the more there were. Like, there was some of the seals that you had to break to free this Corypheus guy. There were demons, like, being held by the seal. And on one of them, they were mostly pride demons, those big, huge monster thingies. And on one of them, I swear there was like 20 freaking pride demons. I don't even know how many I killed, but I died so many times on that part. Oh my god. That was so annoying. But you have to be very strategic when it comes to playing on hard and being the only person with high defense. Oh, it's hard. It's very, very hard because, I mean, I think it would be a little bit easier if you were, say, a mage, because you could do damage, like a lot of damage, and if Aveline is pretty strong, then you might be pretty good. But when you're in charge of the enemies, when you are the tank, oh my god. Oh, it's hard. It's very hard, but it's very fun at the same time. Because you have to be looking everywhere, and when you've got mobs of enemies and they do go to you, I mean, you are covered in enemies. You can't even see you. It's pretty cool. But yeah, those pride demons were a pain in the butt.